Am I the a-hole for using my husband's affair with my cousin against them? My grandparents gave each of their grandkids enough to buy a house when we graduate from college. We have to get through college on our own. My older brother made it through with some debt, so he paid it off and still had enough for a 50% down payment and money in the bank for emergencies. I was lucky enough to qualify for a scholarship as well as a bursary through my father's employer. When I graduated, I bought a small house close to public transportation so I could take the train to work. A few years later, I met and married my husband. He met my cousin Yvonne at my wedding. She is beautiful. I know I'm not ugly, but she's gorgeous. They started an affair about 3 months after the wedding. I found out because they are both dumb or stupid. I was hurt, but more than I was furious. I wanted to kick him out immediately and divorce him. Instead, I waited almost 6 more months. A month before she graduated from university, I went to my grandparents and broke down. I told them that I just found out about the cheating and that I was shattered, that my own family would do that to me. I stayed with them for a couple of weeks. My husband tried to get me, but I didn't talk to him. My grandmother helped me get a lawyer for the divorce during this time. My cousin was basically being shunned by the family now. My house was a premarital asset and was covered in our prenup. I gave my ex 1 month to move out. My grandparents are old school about marriage and family. They are beyond pissed. They said that they couldn't fix what she did, but they could make their displeasure clear. They gave me her money. She had taken out student loans since she knew she could pay them back. She also chose a degree that was not exactly in the STEM area, so she will not be making a great salary coming out of school. My ex begged me to let him stay because he loves me. I said that he would not sleep with other women if he loved me. I know he doesn't. He just did the math and found out how effed up he is. My aunt and uncle are pissed at me for screwing their baby out of so much money. I want to be clear here. It was never my intention to take her money. I just wanted our grandparents not to give it to her. Me getting it was just frosting on the cake. Right now the family is divided, but mostly on my side. They do not want to openly disagree with my grandparents. Everything is over and done with. The divorce will take a little more time, but my money is in my retirement account. My ex is out of my house, and my cousin can go F herself. I feel guilty about not confronting them immediately and for bringing my grandparents into it. My ex asked me how I knew. I told the dumbass his texts were all showing up on our tablet before he deleted them. I had screenshots of everything. So I guess I'm asking if I went too far and whether that makes me the only a-hole in the situation. Top comment, not the a-hole. She knew she was doing wrong and she should have known there might be consequences. She ain't a kid anymore. She is responsible for her own actions. Honestly, I don't even know what to say because I honestly do not get what people get from cheating and sneaking around and do people get off on that? Like when they're sneaking around and they're doing too much and they're just being weirdos, do people get off on that? Because that just sounds like a lot of work. Personally, me, I would never have an affair because that just sounds exhausting. Hiding things, deleting things, lying. Am I the a-hole for telling my mom I don't want kids and making her cry in front of her immediate family? I, 30 female, have never wanted to have children. As the eldest daughter of 4, I was always expected to help take care of my siblings. I have 2 brothers, 31 male, 32 male, and 1 sister, 29 female. Growing up, it felt like my own wants and needs were pushed aside to help my siblings. There were resentment that grew in my youth because my parents supported them in their interest, while mine basically got the back burner. My mom worked as a neonatal nurse. She told me about the teenage patients and what they had to go through, complications and all. It was a scare tactic that still haunts me to this day. My dad's mom had him when she was a teen, so they were constantly worried about my sister and I. I've been adamant about my stance for decades. This isn't news. My dad doesn't care about my mom, has told me on numerous occasions that it breaks her heart. Last weekend, my aunt 5 and uncles 6, cousins, and their babies 3 came out for a family reunion. I was put on helping duty. Not going to lie, it stung to watch my siblings hang out and play games with everyone. The food was prepared at my mom's house. I drove it over and served it, drove it back, and finished cleaning. Granted, my mom and sister did help with the cooking, but I did the rest. I parked my car and went out to play sand volleyball, and that's where the tension began. My mom asked me in front of everyone if I was done. I said yes and went onto the court. She stood with her arms crossed the entire time. It was a fun night. Eventually, the park closed. My siblings and cousins helped clean the park. More attention. My mom invited my aunts and uncles for wine, and my cousins went back to their hotels. I went back to my mom's house to grab my bags from the night before. They were around the table, and one of my uncles mentioned that my cousin was pregnant with her second. After the initial rejoice, my mom said, "That must be nice. My daughter wants to torture me and not give me any babies." Mind you, my brothers have families, and she already has 3 grandchildren. I jokingly remind her that I'm single. First comes love, then comes marriage, then you know the rest. Maybe it was the wine talking, but she started getting upset and said that I was doing it on purpose. My aunt started chiming in, saying that it's every mother's dream to watch her own daughter create her own family, and asked me if I didn't want to make her proud. I had enough. I said I'm my own person, and I don't live for her once, and all of her horror stories from the hospital made me never want to endure childbirth. She yelled, "Oh, so it's my fault?" before crying and running into her room. My aunts and uncles looked at me like I just kicked a dog. My aunt started yelling and calling me selfish. I left. Word got back to my siblings, and my brother asked me why I couldn't have just gone along with it to save face. My mom refused to talk to me for embarrassing her. Am I the a-hole? How is it embarrassing her that her own grown daughter chose not to have kids? Like, I don't get it. Plus, this is totally first daughter syndrome. Eldest daughter who gets to play parent, third or second parent to her little siblings, and then people get surprised when she's traumatized that she doesn't want to be dealing with the burden of having the rest of remaining of her whatever that's remaining from her youth, be drained out by her own other biological children. But yeah, this is just weird. I don't understand people who get so obsessed with what their kids do in regards of marriage and children. Like, at the end of the day, you're just going to be a grandma. You're only going to be a part-time, not even part-time. You're not even really going to be doing much anyways. So at the end of the day, I'm not having no kids just because someone else wants to play with my kid every other weekend. It's really not that deep.